Hi guys, Steven Furry here, and today we're going to be talking about a fairly controversial topic in the fandom. Are bronies furries? The short answer is no, they're not. Not inherently, at least. But to really explain this, we need to talk about this answer and break it down. Because for most, it seems kind of simple. Bronies like a show with anthropomorphic animals, so they must be furries, right? But it doesn't really work that way. So first, let's break down exactly what a brony is and exactly what a furry is. A brony is a person who is a fan of the show My Little Pony, particularly the reboot Friendship is Magic. A furry is a person who is a fan of the concept of anthropomorphic animals. This is the first big split. Bronies are a fan of a specific show, not necessarily fans of anthropomorphism. Furries are fans of the concept, not necessarily any specific media. So there's your really big inherent difference, exactly what the two are. Now you might say, well, MLP has anthropomorphic animals, so bronies like anthropomorphic animals. Not necessarily. You can have a brony who loves MLP but hates The Lion King or anything else of that sort of nature. It makes no sense to claim that a brony must like all anthropomorphism just because they like one show with anthropomorphism. I personally don't like Doctor Who. Don't crucify me, please. But that doesn't mean I dislike sci-fi in general. I actually really like sci-fi. I just don't like that particular show. So, to say that because I'm a fan of sci-fi, I must also like that show is a statement of fallacy. This is kind of in the same boat. But really, to support this argument, we're going to delve a little bit deeper into other fandoms and just how things sort of work. To describe this, we're going to be talking about two different groups, other than bronies and furries, that you may or may not know about. And those are the pony fandom and the anthro fandom. And you might be sitting there going, what are you talking about? I know, it's weird. But these do exist, I swear. I've known people, I've seen it, it exists, it's a thing. Now, let's start with the anthro fandom, because that's the one that's gonna throw most of you for a loop. The anthro fandom is a non-communal, and what I mean by non-communal is that they don't organize very much. They're not a community. They're just people. Just all over the place. Who are fans of anthropomorphism, anthropomorphic animals particularly, who specifically are not furries. They specifically make sure that they separate themselves from the furry label. That is the point of the anthro fandom. Now the reasons why they split themselves off from the furry fandom varies. Some don't like the community, some just really don't like fursuits, and they don't like being associated with a community that is so fursuit-centric. Some just believe that their style of anthropomorphism and the style of furry art are two totally different things. If you look it up, you will find anthro artists nitpicking different aspects of their art that's different from what they believe to be furry art traits. When, if I look at the two, I see no difference. I don't get it. The anthro fandom is very small, and you can find most of them on DeviantArt, and again, it's one of those weird things, I don't know why. I don't know why DeviantArt seems to be like the gathering place of these people. But on DeviantArt you can find groups specifically dedicated to anthro fans that don't allow furries. You can find stamps to label yourself as an anthro fan and not a furry, and all sorts of other things. It is it's a thing, and it's becoming more and more prominent. And the basic idea is simply to get away from the stigmatism of the furry fandom while still being allowed to enjoy what you love. So to say that anyone who enjoys anthropomorphic animals is a furry is inherently wrong, just by example of the anthro fandom. If all people who liked anthropomorphic animals were furries, the anthro fandom couldn't exist. It wouldn't be a physical possibility, which is stupid. They do exist. It's a thing. Now, let's talk about the pony fandom, which some of you may or may not know. I don't know. I don't know how many bronies watch me. The pony fandom is kind of on the same vein of the anthro fandom. It's a separate fandom of people who enjoy MLP, particularly Friendship is Magic, who want nothing to do with bronies at all. And they're more vocal. I've even seen in some posts the people who are in the pony fandom advocating for them to be the face of the MLP fandoms rather than bronies, because bronies have stigmatized the entire idea of adults enjoying MLP. To say that anyone who enjoys MLP as an adult is a brony is again inherently incorrect. They might be a pony fan. They might not want anything to do with the brony community. And, just like how furries can understand why someone wouldn't want anything to do with us, bronies surely could understand why someone would want nothing to do with them. So here we come to the main part of the argument. You cannot assign a label onto someone who does not consent to it. Now, I may have said this on my channel before. I don't know. I say this all the time, and I don't know if I said it here. I'm going to say it again. You cannot assign a label onto someone who does not consent to it. You wouldn't call someone seriously, not in a mocking or insulting fashion. You wouldn't seriously say that someone was gay simply because they acted like it, and expect them to say, you know what, yeah, I do act gay. I guess I must like, my own sex. It doesn't work that way. Flamboyant straight people exist. It's rude, it's wrong, and it just creates stupid stereotyping issues. Another example I can use myself for. Now, some people know what Therianism is, or otherkins or whatever. The idea that on some level, in some way, somehow, you connect with animals deeper than normal people do. You believe on some level that part of you is not human, or you believe that you were something not human in a previous life, or blah blah blah. It's a complicated thing. If someone talked to me on face value, I could get confused for that sort of thing. I'm a lifestyler. The demon ferret is me in my mind. It is the purest form of me. It's not the ideal me. It's not the me I want to be. It is me. And for anyone who doesn't understand the idea of being a lifestyler, someone may say, isn't that Therianism? Aren't you a Therian? No. Not even close. I believe that I am a human being. Because I am one. In an animal suit. I don't believe that in a past life I was a Wolverine. I don't believe that spiritually I am a Wolverine. I do not believe that my spirit, my soul, whatever, is something other than a human. I believe that this is simply me. And that's it. It's a completely different mindset. And for anyone who's not familiar with the idea, or who doesn't sympathize or empathize with that, it would be really easy just to throw me in with Therians and be done with their lives. Actually, really, I would be otherkin since I'm a fantasy animal, technically. But either way, it would be really easy to just throw me into that lot and be done with your lives. But it's not true. I'm not one. And I won't accept the label of being a Therian just because you don't understand what being a lifestyler means. And not all lifestylers are like me. Some lifestylers just see the furry fandom as an intricate part of their lives, and it's just more... It's more important. It's more essential. It's just weaved in there quite a bit more. That's the basic concept of a lifestyler. And for me, and for my emotions, that's what makes me a lifestyler. Are all lifestylers like me? Also, no. Just because someone else says that they're a lifestyler, it doesn't mean that they feel the same way I do. So there are also labels within labels, but I'm not even going to go there. That's way too complicated. So if you go up to a brony and say, you're a furry, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're telling them, I don't care about how you choose to identify yourself. You're going to fall into the mesh I choose for you because it makes sense to me. And that's not fair. And you may sit there and think, but that's not what I'm doing. I'm just saying that bronies are furries. How is that harmful? What if that person hates furries? What if that person thinks that furries are disgusting degenerates of the earth? And you might think, well, they're a brony, they don't have any right to talk. But it's still not fair. In the end, everyone has the right to choose who or what they identify with. If someone wants to be a fan of a TV show, and that's all they want to do, and they just want to do that, be done with it, let them do that. Don't force them into the greater scope of a fandom that has nothing to do with them. So, in the end, no. Bronies are not furries. Can a brony be a furry? Yes, it happens quite a bit. Can a furry be a brony? Again, yeah, it happens quite a bit. Because they are anthropomorphic animals. And there can be overlaps of interest. Are there bronies who aren't furries? Absolutely. Most of them aren't. There are way more bronies than there are furries. So, it even math-wise, it doesn't even make sense. Hopefully this is an explanation that makes sense to you guys. Labels aren't something you can just throw around and expect to be accepted. The labels can only be approved by the person holding it. And it's not fair, it's not right, and it's just downright rude to try to impose your ideals onto someone who doesn't want them. And especially for furries, that's something that we're in this fandom to try to escape. We try to get away from the labeling of life, of people looking at someone and saying, oh, you're gay or you're trans or something like that, you're, some sort of pervert or sick bastard or whatever. And in the furry fandom, we don't judge anyone that way. I mean, some people do, but in general, we try to be tolerant and sometimes as accepting as possible. I'm not going to say the fandom's a safe place. I've said this many times, the fandom isn't. No fandom is. But to push bronies into our fandom, force them into a label like they should accept it, in my opinion, goes against some of the most fundamental things that our community stands for. And I'm not okay with it. It's not just a question of whether bronies are furries. It's a question of, do you have the right to force someone to be something they're not? And you do not have that right. I know that this is a PSA, and I'm getting a little bit ranty here, But this is important. This is important to understand and to remember. So, hopefully you guys learned something here. As usual, if you have any questions, if you want to pick my brain about anything, if something doesn't make sense, let me know. I'll try to explain it in the best way that I can if something made absolutely no sense to you. But just leave this video taking this with you. Everyone is different. And there are labels for pretty much everything. And the labels that you hold here are the ones that apply to you. And no one has the right to change or take that away from you. Wear them proudly. And don't try to mess with anyone else's, just like you wouldn't want anyone else to mess with yours. Okay? That's all I want people to accept and understand. So, that's my PSA on Bronies and Furries. I really hope that you guys learned something here. I'll see you guys later. Bye!